yeah, it was very important to me to come to Israel with this movie for two different reasons. Part of the fun experience of going around the world and promoting my movies is actually I try to add a couple new countries that I've never been to each time. All right, I go on the tour. One, to have the life experience of going to that country, and two, just to let the people know that I care. When you show up, when you go to Israel, if you go to Greece or something like that, then they know that you care. That's why you're there. If this movie hadn't have been Inglourious Basterds, if it had been something else, I probably wouldn't be coming here anyway. Maybe, or if not this one, the next one. But yeah, it's not about a monetary thing. I'm very curious to see an Israeli audience react to the movie. I mean, that's what's going to happen tonight. I'll be seeing it for the first time in an Israeli cinema, and I'll be seeing it for the first time with an Israeli audience. And now the movie is the movie. The movie is not going to change. But I'm interested to see, okay, are there laughs here? Are there does the suspense work here as well as it works somewhere else? That kind of stuff. Since the 80s, pretty much. All the World War II movies have just really focused in on the victimization of World War II. And that's been primarily the story that has been told from the 80s and the 90s and to this day. Now, that's well and good, and there's been some very good movies made on there. Before that time, during the 40s, when the war was actually going on, in the 50s, in the 60s, and even in the 70s, there wasn't anything wrong with making an adventure story. And that's what this is. It's an adventure film, all right? And there's nothing wrong with that. And you've got the incident that happened in the 20th century that has the most adventure stories possible. And, some people say, oh, are you, how come you're not dealing with the Holocaust? And I go, well, one, I am dealing with the Holocaust, all right? That's one. And two, was Guns of the Navarone dealing with the Holocaust? All right, it's going on. It's going on concurrently. I'm not dealing with the Japanese invading Shanghai either, but it was going on at the same time. But at the same time, I actually am dealing with it. It's a false question, because I'm dealing with it through Shoshana's exile. I'm dealing with it through this man, all right? The Jew hunter is representing the Holocaust. But at the same time, though, it's not a Holocaust movie. To me, that's a genre unto itself, and that's not the genre I'm dealing with. I'm dealing with a bunch of guys on a mission genre. I'm not quoting any particular movies, and I get a little touchy about that, all right, because people bring stuff up like that a lot. And, it's fair enough when it comes to Kill Bill, because that's the kind of movie it is. I mean, when the bride is going through her revenge list, she's not just going down the names, she's fighting her way through action cinema. And every character is representing another genre. But that's not really the case here. I mean, I'm touching on all types of both World War II movies and 20s German cinema and post-war German cinema all at the same time. But when people say, oh, there's all these movie references, like, oh, well, it's all practical to the movie. I mean, one character owns a movie theater, another character is a movie star, and Goebbels is a studio head. I mean, it's all about a movie premiere. So all the movie references that keep being brought up in the movie, it's a practical thing that the characters would actually do and talk about. When I'd bring it up to my different Jewish male friends, they love the idea. They're like, wow, I want to see that movie. And they tell their father, they go, yeah, I've seen that other one a lot. Let me see this story. It's about fucking time. But one of the things, though, that's actually, I think, is important about this movie in that regards is it's important that they're American Jews. That's an important aspect about it. Because the reality is, a lot of the European Jews stuck in that situation, they couldn't fight back. They did not have an option to do it. But the American Jews could. They had the strongest nation in the world behind them, and they had an empowerment going into that situation that wasn't the case for their, Jewish grandmothers and grandfathers, living in Poland. There is a fun aspect attached to the genres that I attach myself to, and I think that's one of the things. I mean, like, for instance, Reservoir Dogs got invited to almost every horror film festival in the world. I won a couple of False Marias at CGIS for Reservoir Dogs. Now, it's not a horror film, and it's not a science fiction film. There are horrible scenes in it, all right? We got invited to crime movie festivals too, but I thought it was kind of interesting. That's strange. It was interesting that, my gangster films got invited to horror film festivals. But then when I actually went to CJIS with Reservoir Dogs, I was used to people walking out during the torture scene. So I'd be counting the walkouts, just kind of gauge, the response of the film. So anyway, I go to the CJIS, and Peter Jackson's movie, Brain Dead, was playing in that festival. And you're drowning in blood and guts and gore, all right, in that movie. And the audience is just laughing their asses off. All right, so I see that movie just before, the day before my movie screens. And so I'm, thinking, oh, okay, finally I found a festival audience that's not going to walk out of Reservoir Dogs. All right, and so I even say that as I introduce Reservoir Dogs in CJIS, like, I think I finally found the audience that's not going to walk out, and they're like, yeah. And then we screen the movie, and during the torture scene, 20 people walk out.
Well, we won.
Rick Baker, the makeup effects genius. And then I saw him in the bar later, and he goes, Quentin, you have to understand something. When we make a movie about a werewolf or a mummy or something like that, that's fantasy. And that can't happen. And so we can actually appreciate it. Your torture scene could happen. And that's what made it so horrible, and that's why people leave, because it's outside of the realm of fantasy. It actually is too realistic to actually watch. If I was a director in Nazi Germany, what would I do? Probably whatever they fucking told me to do.